Now, there we go. Look at that. Look at what happens when you turn it off and turn it back on again. What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's your boy Ernie, Blerd without fear. And today, I actually do not have the homie Carter Presents. I actually have another homie who just so happens to be Comic Breakdown. Now, welcome to my humble cave. How are you doing?
What's up, man? Good to be here. Happy to talk about Sons of X and everything else in between.
Now, for those that I know some of you may already be on board. I know some of you may already know who Comic Breakdown is, but in the event that you do not, well, now you do. I want you to make sure to put a link in the description for this video. And I don't know how the tagging works a lot of the time, but I assume, because I tagged you in this for the stream, we're gonna assume that is a clickable thing. So whatever it is, you click on all the stuff, click on all the things, and go show my guy some love over here. But for those who are unfamiliar, I guess I will just say real quick, if you are not familiar already with Comic Breakdown, this guy is doing the Lord's work, and I always get jealous because this guy is constantly putting out good content, covering everything, just all the good stuff, great takes, and yeah, like I said, just go show him some love. But for those who are not familiar, tell my audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Brian with Comic Breakdown. Been doing it for a couple years now. Much like you, covering comics of all content, from indie comics, Marvel comics, DC comics. I think right now we're keeping up with Knight's Terror. We're trying to keep up with Knight's Terror. It's a ridiculous amount of books coming out. I don't know how I'm going to keep up with it. And I put out like 15 videos a week at least. And it's going to be a struggle to keep up with that line. I can't see how DC thought that was a good idea, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And then covering Marvel Comics, obviously, the big thing in Marvel Comics right now is X-Men. Those are the big talkers. Those are the ones that everyone's talking about, whether they hate it or they like it. It's the one getting the most attention, but we like to cover all the other stuff as well. Moon Knight, all that good stuff. Just doing what we can, getting comics out there to people that want to hear them and see them.
Now, for me, I always you brought up Night Terrors, which like I read it on Tuesday. Yeah. And I got to read some of it a little bit early, and man, that's a lot of books. I make no promises to anybody here in this chat. I make no promises to anybody who's watching this VOD later. Man, I thought about doing something for Night Terrors, but that is an intimidating amount of comics. So I tippeth my hat. The imaginary hat that I have, I tip it to you.
I think if you're gonna cover it, you should probably just wait for the 4 one-shots to come out and cover that as its story as a whole.
Yeah,
I think that's really gonna be what it is, because it seems like the best bet is to go with the character you love and pick up those books from Night Terror. That's really what it comes down to, because they're literally doing everybody. Like I think the Joker came out this week.
It was Shazam, Black Adam, Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy, Batman, the Joker. Those were all relatively good books too. Yeah. Like, if I'm being honest, I didn't expect much from Knight's Terror, but it's turning out to be really good so far.
Yeah, listen, I read. Let me not lie. I read 3 of them, and I just kind of did a kind of glimpse over 2 others because I was like, man, I don't know if I want to invest in all this. But yeah, I like what I've seen so far of it. I can definitely say, as Herculean a task as that is, I feel like with Night Terrors, it's equally as a Herculean task as doing X-Men stuff is nowadays, just because there's so much of it. Even comics that are not X-Men comics are kind of starting to sneak their way into the X line. Like Jerry Duggan's Invincible Iron Man is, while it's it's obviously not an X book, it's becoming one of those books you kind of want to keep an eye on because it's very I guess connected just by virtue of you got Fei Long as the chief antagonist, as well as all the stuff going on with Iron Man and Emma Frost. So it's just kind of like but yeah, I dig it though. I dig it. I'm all for it. But let's I guess talking about X-Men Before the Fall, which we both covered, and I do highly recommend, if you have not done so already, go check out the videos over on Comic Breakdown talking about Before the Fall. But I feel like, and I think I've said this in pretty much almost every video I've done for each of the issues, whether it was Sons of X, Mutant First Strike, Heralds of Apocalypse, and now with the Sinister Four having just come out, my whole idea was just like, man, solicits, I always say covers lie, solicits lie too. Because I feel like almost every one of those like had a solicit that promised something very different than what you actually got. But and while the thing we get is usually ends up being different, it wasn't necessarily bad.
Yeah,
it was just like I went into expecting one thing and got something completely different. I don't know if you had ran into that same feeling yourself. But
honestly, I try to avoid solicits.
Mhm.
I'm one that likes to be surprised on what's coming up. Like I'll check and see what's releasing in the next couple weeks, but outside of that, I'm not diving too deep into what is happening. Unless I see like an article published or something about some new event, I might read it in that regard. But for most part, I like to be surprised and going into it. So before the fall, I had no idea what we were getting into. I was only assuming that it was building up into what will eventually be the fall of X. And it's definitely done a good job of laying the foundation, laying the groundwork for what's going to be one hell of a Hellfire Gala.
Yeah, I can definitely say it is.
At least it better be.
I have high hopes. But whew, man, it's I keep getting this impression from all the stuff that the current X office is putting together. Like there's I feel like I need a spreadsheet of everything that mutant kind is overlooked in regards to all their different enemies, all the different hurdles and stuff they gotta get through. Like case in point, it's not enough that you have Orcus just as bearing down on them. Coven Akaba is back. We know that not only are they back, you also got Mother Righteous out there waiting in the wings. They also have Genesis in the original recipe for Horsemen of the Apocalypse, bearing down on them. You've also got Fei Long with the Stark Tech Sentinels. You've got that to deal with. There are now X Sentinels, which you effectively got Terminators out here now. You've also got like the Krakoan, medicines that have been tampered with. You've got Judas Traveler out here, just put out all kind of hit pieces and whatnot, going after mutants from like more of a media perspective. And that's just some of the stuff that that they have to deal with right now.
Those are just the outside forces.
Yeah.
That's not talking about all the Sinisters that are actively working against them, everything going on, the turmoil that's in the Quiet Council, members of the Quiet Council not being able to be trusted. Like they are definitely building up that this is going to be a huge blow to Krakoa as a whole. I've seen some people in the comments asking, do we think this is going to be the end of this Krakoan era? And I don't think so. I think for one, Marvel recognizes this as a cash cow. You know what I mean? Like it's too soon to end anything like this. So they're definitely going to milk it for as long as they can. But I think this is really just building up for the demise of Mother Righteous. Because I think that's really what this is all going to come down to. I know Orcus is going to make their strike. I don't know in what capacity that's really even going to look like. We can talk about that more in a little bit. But I think really the Before the Fall books focus a lot on Mother Righteous. And at one point, what was it? It was Destiny's Prophecy, the death of the Red Queen. And she's the Queen of Hearts. She's Red Queen of Hearts. Like, it makes sense that could be what we're seeing in Long Live the Queen, which my assumption would be Emma Frost.
See, so I'm glad you brought that up too, because that was one of the things that like I kind of danced around with, shadow box with a little bit when I was reading. It was X-Men 24. Because like when I read it, like, yeah, and I think this is the thing you get a lot of the time when you read a lot of everything, like everything. And I don't know if this is something that, Al Ewing and, Ram V, like if because, Al Ewing's also involved with a lot of the X stuff as well, like on the X-Men Red side of things. But it's like, I don't know if there's any like crosstalk or anything like that. But like when I read the lines of Jerry Duggan's X-Men, when they were talking about, oh yeah, the fall of the Red Queen and this, that, and the third, the kings that are in white and in black. The first thing I thought of, I was like, I said this in my videos, like first thing I thought about was Beyonders and Venom. What? I was like, what does this have? This isn't X-Men. This isn't X-Men at all. But no, then I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I could easily see like right now, Emma Frost, because technically, like they did something really weird. And I don't think a lot of people caught on to it. Technically, there is no white king or black king anymore, at least as far as like the Hellfire Trading Company is concerned. They just have monarchs now. There's no like gender difference between them as it used to be. Like used to be you had white queen, black queen, white king, so on and so forth. But now it's just like you have like white monarch, black monarch, red monarch. And I guess technically, Kate Pride tends to call herself the Red Queen, so that was kind of where my head went with it. And I was like, I know if something happens to Kate, Emma gonna lose it, and she's gonna kill Sebastian because she didn't do it last time. Last time Sebastian started getting squirrely, killed Kate. Next thing you know, it's like, she's like, I was gonna get you, but she talked me out of it. It's like if something happens this time, I'm pretty sure Emma will just straight up kill him. But I don't, dude. There's just Destiny, and I gotta give credit where credit is due, because whenever like Destiny drops these little prophecies, there's always these little ideas of like, you definitely could tell like, oh, this is where it's gonna go. It's kind of where it's gonna go a little bit, but like, they kind of messed around with these a little bit to where like, with the exception of like the false captain or whatever, I was like, I think we all know who that is at this point. Yeah. Obvious Captain Krakoa is obvious. But I love the I love everything that's getting set up here. I will definitely say the best part about Before the Fall, and really every issue of it has been pretty damn good. It's still all the other stuff we were talking about here. Like I said, just talking about like with Mother Righteous, talking about with Orcus and with Genesis on the way. We still got technically Revelation now. We got the artist formerly known as Apocalypse that is out here now, and it's like it's like, okay, well now what do we do with this? What are we gonna do with this information? Because apparently he's not 100% down with what's going on with Genesis and Heralds of Apocalypse. He seems to kind of have his own idea of what needs to go down, and obviously, Apocalypse doesn't, Revelation doesn't do anything without having some horsemen. so that's something we could definitely most likely look forward to. But yeah, I guess with everything, because I think July the 26th, I believe, is when all this is supposed to like really like kick into full gear. We've gotten all the before the fall one shots out of the way. We're just gonna knock out a few little X books here or there just to kind of set the table up just a little bit more, put the silverware down for it. But yeah, when we get to the Hellfire Gala, which is gonna be a pretty big issue, I think, bigger than I think is even advertised, and that's saying something because they have advertised it to be a pretty damn significant issue. But that said, what I'm curious about your thoughts on this is this is supposed to kick off the fall. Like, big stuff is supposed to be happening, stuff that's supposed to like put everybody on notice. How do you Orcus has clearly got moves. Orcus clearly has moves like that they're pulling. As far as Orcus goes, what do you have any ideas about what you think they're gonna pull off at the gala this year?
I honestly just don't know. Like, because they got their hands in so many different pots. Like, it's hard to even come up with an idea of what they're gonna do. I can reference X-Men 24 again. We saw Kid Cable going back in time to prevent the mutant massacre that was supposed to take place at the Hellfire Gala. So we can only assume that they're going to infiltrate the gala in some way, shape, or form, and we're going to see maybe even the X-Men team just get completely annihilated by Orcus. We've already seen them pretty much manhandled by just a single Stark Sentinel, which oddly enough, Cletus Cassidy was able to take care of two of them without a problem, which was
right. That's a scary thought.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. I mean, granted, he had the extremebiote and all that good stuff on, but the way that they ended that with Tony Stark just blowing up an EMP inside of him, calling it a day, it was like, well, that was anticlimactic.
Yeah, it's like, well, was kind of hoping for more.
So who knows what they're actually going to use, but we can only assume that it's going to be something trying to infiltrate inside and just absolutely massacring. And then, who knows what Colossus might do.
Yeah, no, that's that's another wild card. Because, like I said, all the things that we've talked about, this is, the other side of things is that we can't forget about what Mikhail Rasputin is doing.
Yeah.
Mikhail Rasputin has, once again, depends on, where you're reading. But, for the longest time, Colossus has been a sleeper agent for Mikhail Rasputin, going back to practically the beginning of Benjamin Percy's run on X-Force. And, we saw the big reveals in 12, Immortal X-Men number 12, about Mikhail Rasputin, kind of, or rather having the Chronicler edge him towards passing a vote to reveal all the stuff that happened in the Sinister timeline, even though none of it happened, but like making humanity aware that it could have actually stuck. That's just yet another thing. It's like this is what it's gonna be. It's gonna be death of 1,000 cuts for the entire X-Men line. Like, it's just gonna be little thing after little thing after little thing after little thing after little thing. And some of those things will be big too, but like there's just so many little things that it's so easy to be like, oh man, they're having to deal with this, they're having to deal with that. Oh wait, I forgot about this thing that's over here that they also have not addressed. Heck, it seemed like right when they tied up one loose end, it was like 15 more just kind of spilled out. Like, we still don't even know, at least as far as the stuff with like the Covenant Kaba, like exactly how they're tied in. with Orcus, which I think that's a pretty deadly alliance. If if we're really being honest here, because you literally have a group of wizards
Yeah.
who hate mutants, and magic is, I would dare say, one of the X-Men's biggest weaknesses. So it's something I think that it's not insignificant. It's not insignificant. I'll definitely say I think there are definitely gonna be some characters that are gonna get humbled. I think Iceman, because he's been kind of riding high on himself for a while lately. I think he's gonna get humbled at the gala. I think that's a safe bet. Especially knowing that Orcus is gonna be there in full force. And even though I know mutant resurrection's on the table, it can always be taken off the table if the right people are killed.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll get any major do you think we'll get any? I know Free Comic Book Day kind of did this one in, so this is out there in the weeds regarding certain characters, but do you think we'll get any major deaths, like any that you think might stick, even if it's only for a little while?
Maybe Hope.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would probably be their main target, is to take out Hope, or the 5 in general.
Mm-hmm.
That would be their main goal, is to try to take them down. That way the resurrection's at least taken off the table for a little bit, depending on what they do moving forward. That's a whole other thing in its own. But because we've seen them move around not having the 5 before, and being able to make things work just with the right set of mutants. I don't know, though. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see anybody actually, because it's so hard to say with the X-Men line, because it's like, are they going to die? And if they die, does it matter? How would it become permanent? You know what I mean? Like, at this point, it's like, what can you do at the Hellfire Gala that is going to have such a significant damage done to the infrastructure of the X-Men that it's going to create the fall of X? And I think that's the biggest looming question.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Well, and the thing is, the only reason I even think that the 5 are in danger this time around, because it seemed like last year, or at the very, it seemed like, it was last year, because it was kind of like around all the, because it was the Judgment Day came shortly after the Hellfire Gala the past time around, or it was like technically around the same time or whatever. And it seemed like that's what Moira was going for. Like that's kind of, and technically it did happen for 2 seconds. The most of the 5 were dead for the time it takes to heat up a hot pocket. But I wonder if that's something that she's gonna try and double down on again, because if you go back to, there's just so much so. What was it? Cy Spurrier's Legion of X. That was that was supposed to be the big reveal at the end of that. That 10th issue was that Nimrod has access to the Krakoan gates now, and that's something I think a lot that's kind of been forgotten. That Orcus
Warlock, is inside of him.
He has Warlock inside of him. He still maintains control of the Krakoan gates, and it speaks to Orcus's patience, because they've had this access for a while now, and they've just kind of been sitting on it. No, we're not gonna say anything. No. Y'all keep.
It's been an extremely slow burn. They've definitely been taking their time, and we know that it has something to do with Dr. Stasis. In the footnotes, in the notes in the last few issues that we've just gotten of the X-Men, we saw that the catalyst for all of the fall of X is on the feet of Dr. Stasis. So it's a matter of what he is doing that is really going to have such an impact on everything going on. And now that he's working with Mother Righteous, but he's also working with Orcus. So it's how are the Sinisters going to fuck everybody? That's really what it's right.
Well, and that was kind of the promise with the Sinister Four. The initial promise was that, this is going to be, because the whole idea was that during Sins of Sinister, only one of them would be able to achieve Dominion status. Like, and they were all kind of vying to get Dominion status over the course of that. But, at the end of the day, it's Highlander rules. It can be only one. But, like, the whole idea of Sinister Four was, like, at least the way it was initially pitched, was it like, oh, well, what happens if they all work together? And it's like, well, now we kind of see they are, in a roundabout way, all working together, with the exception of, Mr. Sinister, who's, he's night right now in the pit. But, I wonder, especially considering everything we saw, what was it with the Bishop War College? We know Orcus has access to the pit.
Yep.
We know that Orcus knows who is and is not down there now.
Which means that we could definitely see the release of Diamond Sinister during the Hellfire Gala if they so choose to do so.
And I think they will. Because it's going to be too much stuff lining up. Like the release of, I guess, what you could call it, the Sinister Files, to the general public. If that gets dropped at the gala and somehow Sinister just makes his way out, and we saw how he was rather calm when we saw him again in Bishop War College, but when we go back to like when he's initially put in the pit, he is hysterical. So I wonder if he gets out again, is he going to be hysterical again? We've also got the Fenris twins down there because why not? Is there going to be something going on there with that? There's a great deal of just, there is so much that can go wrong. There's so much.
Because Sinister has 2 mutant Nazis with him now. So, who knows what he's going to utilize them for.
Exactly. It's like, is he going to be able to like that was kind of the funny thing about the Sabretooth series, was that Sabretooth had kind of imposed his will on Krakoa to the point where like he had more control down there than anyone else could have had. And I wonder if Sinister's found a way to do something similar, but I could easily see Sinister like just lashing out, coming out of the pit, because he's still worried about the one thing, about the Dominion status already being achieved by somebody. And I'm not gonna lie, part of me wonders, because time is weird, and the way the whole Dominion thing even works is just crazy in and of itself. But part of me wonders if Dr. Stasis, he is very important to all this, and he's kind of been like such a huge background player almost the entirety of the time he's been in the X-Men line lately. I just can't help but feel like he's gonna pull a move that might actually put him in the forefront. And make him the guy that everybody's going to be like afraid of. Like he's going to end up being the real true big bad of all of it. It's not going to be like Fei Long, and it's not going to be, Director Devo, who nobody even remembers half the time. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Dr. Stasis has to be the dude.
Yeah, I think I was actually rereading Sons of X because I wanted to remember what happened exactly with Legion and everything of that nature. And because Legion just vanishes, he empties out the altar and he just disappears. And then we learn that Kurt also leaves. Nightcrawler takes off.
Yep. He's running off to be Spider-Man.
Yeah. And so it's very interesting to think about what Mother Righteous has been through, because they've been playing her up real big. She's making more of an impact. Like we read, she even has talks about possibly being in the vote for the X-Men team in the Hellfire Gala. And so it's interesting, but in Legion of X, there are a handful of mutants that know her true purpose or her true intent, everything that she's wanting to do. And so I'm wondering if that's going to be exposed anytime in the near future, because there was a good amount of mutants, Pixie and all of them, that witnessed all of it. And you would think that Nightcrawler had said something to Cyclops, on their little conversation before he takes off to go be Spider-Man, Uncanny Spider-Man.
It's like, nah, remember that thing that was really important that I saw? Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's not that big a deal. I'm gonna go spin some knot webs.
But speaking more on that, it's because Legion got sucked up by the Dominion in the
Mhm.
Sinister timeline.
Mhm.
He ascended to a higher place outside of space and time in a different plane, and even he got sucked up by the Dominion. So it's got to be very interesting to see who's going to come out on top. And by Mother Righteous's idea, it's one of the Sinisters. And I think if I were to choose right now, it would be Dr. Stasis, because he
Mhm.
seems to be the one having his hand in everything and really working Orcus like a puppet. While Mother Righteous doesn't believe that Orcus is a huge main event, she sees it more as like the side attraction. I think Orcus is going to be a bigger blow than people anticipate.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I don't think people are. I think like as far as like in universe, everyone that is kind of keeping their eyes on everything, the general public at large, I feel like they're going to be very caught off guard by Orcus, just because when you got to the end of Judgment Day, Orcus had become a household name.
Yeah.
Like you had kids running around with like Orcus T-shirts with Nimrod balloons, and it's like, oh yeah, no, these guys, they're superheroes now
Yeah.
to the general public. You have Fei Long, a guy who is involved with Orcus, who is now the face of Stark Unlimited now. So you have these people who are just like, oh yeah, no, these guys, no, they're okay. These guys are okay. They help save the world. They help stop the giant celestial from that's what everybody thinks of Orcus now. They don't see them as villains, and I think sometimes it's easy to for all the stuff that's going on. We know Orcus is they're the bad guys, but nobody else does. But yeah, I definitely think that. Yeah, initially, if you'd have asked me like right at the time of Sins of Sinister, I'd have said there's no way. There's no way Dr. Stasis gets it, because he's just he's kind of came off as, I don't want to say like inept, like he was clearly intelligent, but like it just seemed like none of his plans worked quite as well as maybe some of the other players that we've seen out there and being active. I would have said Orbis Stellaris, but I mean, he's been such a background player. He's almost too much of a background player. It's like a shadow overlord or something.
Yeah, ever since the Sinister line, we've rarely seen him. He's popping up here and there, but for the most part, they've definitely been putting Dr. Stasis front and center to see where he's going to go. I think, and that's one thing we've been seeing a lot of, and I think that's been really interesting, is they really focused on a lot of characters for a while, and now we're pushing off of them, like Emma Frost and Manifold and things of that nature. Though Manifold is supposed to have some kind of huge significance in whatever comes forward, there's appears to be two different prophecies going around. One that he will save mutant kind, and the other that he might destroy it. Like, there's so much going on with Manifold, and in the Rogue and Gambit series, there's that whole thing where he's under mind control. We talked about that offline, because Juggernaut's in there as well, but it's supposed to be taking place sometime in not too far past, I think, or to present.
It has to be recent. Yeah,
it's very recent.
Yeah, it has to be very recent, just based on like, so you get to like X-Men 24. When Rogue and Destiny are having their little powwow, it feels like the second time they've talked about it. Like, like everything that Rogue is saying, like it just seems like, oh yeah, this is
we're reminding us that Manifold's out there and he could be an issue in some way, shape, or form.
Like it just, oh yeah, that's a thing. And yeah, and I feel like the idea that Moira knows. Like because like Destiny's really the only person who's really talked about Manifold in that way. Like, oh no, he's the guy. He's the guy that if he's there, everything is just gonna fail. Yeah, and it makes me wonder. Like, and that's something I talked about briefly in my video for it, was I wonder how she got that information. Like, does she know it because Omega Sentinel told her? Yeah. Or, because we know that Omega Sentinel comes from a timeline that's practically parallel. but I guess it's like the B-side of said life of Moira. But we also can't overlook the fact that, you know, there's still the future Moira that's out there, that's fully, you know, bought into the Phalanx, who we haven't seen since 10 Deaths of Wolverine. She just kind of disappeared, like, just like, okay, where's she at? We're gonna follow that one up. It's like, yeah, I don't know, because I know that was more of a, if I remember correctly, that was more of a Benjamin Percy project. So knowing Benjamin Percy, he'll take his sweet time getting there, which is I'm fine with that if he does. But I feel like, yeah, there's something going on with that. And like, you know, this is, you know, for anyone who ever asked the question, why are people like us needed? It's for these reasons. Somebody has to keep up with all this stuff, because Marvel almost doesn't. Want to give a quick shout out though. We got a $5 super chat here from Abraham Robinson. I had it pulled up there for a while, but the conversation was going way too good. So I wanted to wait for an organic spot. But my guy right here saying, "Sup, comic breakdown." Also, yeah, this might be a live first for you, man. We actually got us we got us one of the golden goats here. My guy Gabriel Knight. I didn't prepare for this, y'all. Y'all might need to let me get a swig of water before I do this. Hold on. Wet the whistle so I can do this. Thank you, Gabriel, aka the Dark Knight, for that. 1999. Super chat said, just good day, everyone. Just show us support. Great show. Hey, we appreciate you. Thank you for that. By the way, I also saw someone in the chat. This wasn't a super chat, but I just thought it was an interesting question. Someone said, where would I go to read old issues online? Should I subscribe to Marvel and DC? They do actually both have their own services. Marvel Unlimited is, well, obviously the Marvel one. And if I'm not mistaken, they have changed their wait time on new issues. You're not going to get issues on Marvel Unlimited like boom the day they come out. It's like I think it used to be like a 6-month like hangover between getting the new stuff versus getting, you know, caught up. I think they've actually shortened it to like 3 weeks. I can't really keep up with the exactness of it, but like, you're never going to be far behind if you're on Marvel Unlimited. And then the DC, well, what used to be a streaming service, DC Universe, is also still active, though I don't know if they have a hangover on like new versus, you know, whatever, because
I'm not sure how it is.
I do not subscribe to it. I had it for 3 weeks when I bought a copy of the Suicide Squad, and I have not had it since.
Yeah, I use Comixology through Amazon, and they actually have quite a bit of free comics that you could probably read some older comics. I think I pay like $7 a month for the Comixology, and it gives you a whole bunch of discounted comics and also free comics and stuff of that nature.
Yeah, you can get like the unlimited access. You can get like, there's actually some, and you know, not just Marvel and DC, but you can get like a lot of good stuff from like Image, from Dark Horse. Yeah, 'cause that's where oddly enough, the channel is not representative of it, but you know, that's kind of where I live a lot of the time, is in Image Comics world. But yeah, I would definitely say that is the place. Those are the places to go. I personally am more I'm more of an Amazon guy. I know Bezos, the overlord. I know I'm giving him way too much money. But it's the easiest way for me to read comics because I don't go anywhere. But that said, I guess so. We know that just based on all of the because we got the big you know, spread splash page, whatever, not that long ago, that was, you know, kind of giving us a whole let's see, I want to see if I can pull it up here and actually show it off. But yeah. Oh, here. Ignore this, y'all. This is clearly from last week, and I did not change anything. But right here, we've got the Fall of X. Like, this is a full list of comics. We've got X-Men, Astonishing Iceman, Wolverine, Children of the Vault, which I believe is going to be a 4-issue set. Invincible Iron Man, Dark X-Men, Uncanny Avengers, Realm of X, X-Men Red, Alpha Flight. Lord, they're bringing back Alpha Flight in this economy. We've got X-Force, Uncanny Spider-Man, and of course, the Immortal X-Men will be continuing as well.
Can you imagine if they just do a full-out, just actual mass genocide and kill almost everybody that's at the Hellfire Gala, and then everybody else is just on the run?
Yeah, that's honestly okay. So Marvel released something, and I think it's very telling. And I think it was from the perspective of Orcus. It wasn't from the perspective of mutant kind. But it was basically a sheet that was keeping up with where everyone was. Basically, let you know Orcus is keenly aware of who is where where they are, and how to find them. It's I don't know if I even still have. Oh yeah, actually, lies. I do have it because I save everything. I am the equivalent of a pack rat when it comes to images from the internet.
They just sent a Stark Sentinel to Deadpool's daughter's house.
Yes, they did. I was like, man, really? Y'all gonna go after the kids? Mm-hmm. Come on, man. I was like, leave that poor girl alone. But no, we got right here. Yeah, this is it. I'm gonna zoom it out just a little bit, but yeah, they clearly have an idea of where everyone is. They know each and every mutant's location. So it's not like they're not in the know. You know what I mean? It's not like they're not in the know. They clearly have an idea of where everybody's at. So yeah, if they do what I think they're going to do, and just based on the lineup of the teams that we're going to be getting, I mean, yeah, the X-Men are going to be the X-Men, of course. Mm-hmm. But, I know the Dark X-Men is probably not going to have quite as much to do with a lot of the Hellfire Gala stuff, because it kind of seems like they're dealing more with the logistics. Because once again, that's yet another thing. Mm-hmm. That Limbo is now got an embassy in New York. So it's like...
just a giant building popped up.
It's like, here we go. Demons. This is basically, it's Peter Venkman, Ghostbusters, dogs and cats living together. Absolute chaos is just reigning all over the earth at this point. So what I wonder is, what if everybody's gone? Yeah, what do you do with that? Is that why we're bringing in the Alpha Flight guns? Yeah. Is this why we've got to call on Alpha Flight? I mean, because we know why Nightcrawler isn't going to be around. He's a murder suspect now.
Yep.
So what was that? We got Magic. I believe Magic and Mirage. That's where Realm of X is going to be focused. I believe with them.
And her powers were acting a little bit weird, out of the ordinary, because of the trip to Otherworld. So who knows what's going to be up with her stuff.
And we also got the Dr. Stasis. He's got her filled up with nanomachines now too. Yes. So this guy, he's literally everywhere. This guy. And then what was it? We also got like I said, the Children of the Vault. That's a 4-issue series. I don't know what they're going to do with that, but if the X-Men if the X-Men comics are anything to go by, we already saw that the Children of the Vault have their way. They will literally destroy everything. They're like the supervillain equivalent of Locust. They're just gonna run roughshod. It's gonna be over. I want to believe that we might, and maybe this could be the best thing, because I'm always in favor of like other X-Men characters kind of getting pushed to the forefront.
Yeah.
If this means we get some, of course, we're obviously still see Wolverine, Iceman, so on and so forth. But if it means we get to see some new faces or some faces that don't get seen very often on the X-Men team this year, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that 100%. But yeah, as far as like the fall of X goes, man,
I think want to talk about.
Oh yeah,
I want to talk about Genesis and Apocalypse.
Yes, yeah,
because
let's do it.
I know a lot of people had some mixed feelings about that one. Some people loved it like I did. Other people, they didn't like it as much. Obviously, they didn't like. I think the most people didn't like the character and the attitude that Apocalypse had when Genesis came to him. But I enjoyed the writing because I didn't see it like as emasculating Apocalypse or anything like that.
God, no.
I saw it more like he's a man who has seen war and death time and time and time and time again, and he just wants to live in an era of peace. And by doing what Genesis was doing, it just went against what he wanted at the time. He got a taste of heaven again, and it's hard to break away from that. But we do see him going out to gather his own forces. So, did he want, and he called himself the Revelation. So what is his revelation? Does he foresee what Orcus is going to do and knows that there's no stopping it, and that going with Genesis wouldn't change the course of anything that's going to happen, and prepare for what comes after the fall of X?
Well, and I think that's the most important thing right there. That look at what he says to her. Yeah, he's literally telling us like, "Hey, look, I'm not gonna stop you. You're grown. You can go do whatever you want.
Yep.
I'm not gonna try and stop you, but I'm gonna do my own thing." Even after like it was kind of the equivalent of saying, "Hey, just because we don't agree on something, it doesn't mean we can't still be cool. Yeah, we can still chill, but it's not. I'm just gonna let you do your thing." Yeah. And we also can't forget the type of power that Genesis has at her disposal right now. The Annihilation Staff is powerful.
Yeah.
We saw what it did to Apocalypse, and he only wore it for like 10 seconds. I think he wore it for like 2, maybe 3 pages in Ten of Swords. And he had to fight it. Like he had to like it was literally trying to make him say other stuff than what he wanted to say. And even with it not being a helm anymore, being put on a staff, so it's not directly connected to the brain, it's still, you can tell it, it's still controlling Genesis in some way, even if it's like just a little bit.
Yeah, she took down the 100. She took down White Sword in the 100.
Yeah. Like
with
that.
Ease. With ease. And they stood for so long.
Yeah. And that's and this is the stuff that people aren't thinking about. The White Sword was literally an Omega level mutant who could literally bring anyone back from the dead. And that there is a little line, and I don't know if this is going to pay dividends down the road or anything, but like it was heavily implied that he was so powerful that even he can't actually be killed, not permanently. Yeah. I'm sure that's a line they're gonna come back, and it's gonna pay dividends somewhere down the road, because you take all the guys that have been writing that particular side of the X-Men, whether it's Hickman or Al Ewing, or I think even maybe Kieran Gillen might have had a little taste of it himself. But regardless of whoever it was, but just between those writers, they don't just put stuff out there like that and be like, so yeah, there's that. I don't know. I know people were upset about it. I just didn't care. I just did not care, because you know what? Genesis has been said on multiple occasions to be powerful. That she is in, like, even going back to Ten of Swords, they were saying that she was more powerful than Apocalypse. That and then you think about the nature of where she comes from, and like we've seen the Iraqi mutants and how they act. Yeah, this girl literally came from Okara back when the islands were like together. Imagine how she acts. It's like, I think it's because we never really spent a lot of time around Genesis without the helm that people I feel like maybe people are misremembering who she is. But yeah, no, I was perfectly fine with it. And the thing is, Apocalypse is not the same character today that he was like 10 years ago. No. Like even before House of X, what was it was the last big story arc they did right before House of X was Disassembled. Yeah. Or so. Something along, I think it was X-Men it was something. I don't remember. It kind of came and went. But the point was, Apocalypse was even kind of slick, acting like he had changed back then. Like he was already like, he's like, hey, look, I'm just trying to do my thing, man. I'm not trying to mess up what y'all got here. So yeah, I think people just need to go back and just take a different look at it with maybe rest your eyes and then come back and look at it. I think you'll see it differently. I will definitely say, and this is just in regards to a first timer here. We got us a super chat from Will Perrin, says comic breakdown and Blerd without fear. Thank you to the dynamic duo. I've been waiting for the sequel. Thank you all for that. You both do. And until the next Blerd down. Thank you for that $20 super chat, by the way. Thank you for that. Like I said, and also first timer. Thank you. Man, much love. I definitely want to say though, as far as your different characters that kind of intersected during the Before the Fall stuff. You brought up Legion earlier. And that is something even I kind of didn't think about for a little bit. Was that, man, yeah, Legion is legit gone.
Just vanished.
So where he has to be somewhere. Like, where has he gone? We still have the stuff going on with Colossus right now, where we know that in as the most recent issues of X-Force, the Chroniclers lost his control over him. He clearly got it back at some point. Because otherwise none of this makes any sense. Because
we saw Selene, and then Selene voted onto the council. We saw how she was brought back because of the Sinisters.
And you mentioned Hope earlier. I think that might be who gets her. I would not be shocked if Selene handed her a receipt. Yeah. Handed her a receipt for that bullet through the brain pan. Not that long. That was Immortal X-Men number 2, I think, or something like that. So yeah, there's man. And I know technically they're only using this as a way to kind of keep Charles and Exodus and Hope and Emma off the Quiet Council, not being able to have any votes, saying that, oh, there's a possibility Sinister could take you all over again. We don't know if we got all of it. I think it's safe to say they probably got all of it.
I don't see that being something that just like all of a sudden, 4 issues from now, it's like, oh, guess what? They're actually Sinisters.
It's like, oh, we've already done that one. We've done that one.
We're not going that direction. And I think at this point, I get the concern that they have, but at the same time, it's like these are some of your most powerful and influential people that are the most knowledgeable, have the most experience, and you want to keep them out of the big decisions. It's just absolutely stupid, and that's what we're seeing is the negligence and the stupid mistakes the mutant kind is making over and over and over again, especially when you have, the inner circle that is making all the decisions for everybody.
Right. Well, and the thing, and that was something I thought was just so crazy, because even I, for a second, sometimes I'll think of some stuff and I'm like, maybe they won't do it. But the more I kept thinking about it, I was like, man, they actually did it. I was like, dude, Colossus is literally sitting on multiple votes. Yeah. He is sitting on multiple votes. who thought this was a wise decision?
Like as soon as I saw in Sons of X where Kurt hands over his vote to Storm, I was like, oh, this is gonna be bad because he's gonna be able to push the pendulum in any direction that he wants.
Mm-hmm. I was like, dude, why?
And people are like, no, there's no way they're gonna give that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna give Colossus all the votes and let him be the one to determine, and the Chronicler is the one behind him doing all of that. So who knows what Rasputin's up to? You know what I mean? Like, who knows what he's actually got planned? Because we haven't seen him really since everything that happened with the Peacock Man, and we haven't seen that guy in a while. I can't remember what even happened to him.
Yeah, the was after the reveal that he was the new Gene-Engineer. I think I do remember him getting killed.
He was a Gene-Engineer clone.
Yeah, I think I want to say, and this shows you just, man, look. My mind isn't the steel trap it used to be. I swear to God, I read it. I did a video about it, but I actually do not remember what happened. I'm actually have to go back and look. But I definitely don't think that thread is going to be 100% done. They'll come back to that again at some point. I'm sure there's another Gene-Engineer clone out there somewhere that'll probably come back at a later date, and no one will remember him, just like they didn't remember the Gene-Engineer this time around either. I didn't remember. I had to go back. I was like, dude, Gene-Engineer. I was like, oh wow, it's
like a 1981 comic.
Yeah, that was a deep cut, dude. I wasn't even born. I was like, I wasn't even born yet. Like, what are we going back to this for? But no, I was like, dude, I wasn't even conceived. I'm just barely conceived, if that. But I do want to say, speaking of more strange things that are going on that it's easy to forget about because there's so much shit literally going on right now in the spectrum of X-Men. LP3 with the $10 says, I haven't had a chance to follow Scarlet Witch yet, but did we ever run into Joe again, the fake Magneto?
No, we did not run into him again, not yet.
No.
We saw the annual that came out, which was Agatha going into the soul of the Scarlet Witch to take the heart of Chthon.
Yes.
That's where we are left off. We have no idea where Joe is. That's going to be one hell of an interesting turn of events in itself because there's a metal in the cave that can kill the Scarlet Witch, and Joe is sitting on a throne of it. So no idea where the heck that's even going to go.
I also have questions as to how he's even still alive. Because last we saw him, he got...
I confused him with Magneto at first. I was like, is this a resurrection of Magneto? Then I had to go back after I read some comments. I actually saw the scar on his neck, and I was like, oh, okay, I see it now.
Yeah, because people didn't believe me at first when I said it was Joseph. They were like, nah, it's not Joseph. That's not... I was like, dude, come on. I was like, look at him. But last time we saw him, he got his head lopped off.
Yeah,
by Quanon.
Like how did this happen?
Yeah, you know clearly it wasn't. It's clearly not mutant resurrection. Obviously, otherwise he wouldn't have the scar.
Yeah,
and we got to remember
magic. Obviously,
yeah, this has to be magic, especially since he's hanging out in the Scarlet Witch's arena of expertise. And we also, because and for anyone thinking that, oh no, it's got to be resurrection, you got to remember the whole clone thing. I mean, technically that's been done away with as of Vita Ayala's New Mutants, because obviously they brought back Scout when she was killed, but and they even made an addendum saying no, if the clone is different enough, they've got their own personality, they're clearly their own person, but. Yeah, Joseph, whole Magneto clone. He actually put a clarification that him was in reference to the real Magneto. I don't know if we'll see Magneto again for a while.
And I hope we don't. Because I really I would love to see Magneto, but I want it to be a good payoff. I don't want them to just be like, okay, he's back, and give us some time. I want to see mutant kind truly fall before they're like, you know what, we have no other choice, we need Magneto back.
Yeah.
Like, I want it to be an absolute last resort for his return.
And I would even like to see him return under better circumstances. Like, have him come back
or
to,
or things are great.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, we have our mutant paradise. Welcome back, Magneto.
Like once Fall of X has run its course, which, judging by the state of how the X-Men line's been going, give roughly about a year.
Yeah.
Give or take. I feel like by the time we get to whatever... Yeah, because that's the other thing I think we have an issue with as well. Is I've seen so many people so down to the saying, "Oh, look at the X-Men are finally great again. Marvel's just trying to kill them all. Oh, look, the Fall of X. We can't have anything nice." Here's the thing. I don't like going to this place because it's gonna come off sounding really cheesy, but what did Thomas Wayne teach us in the Dark Knight trilogy? Why do we fall? So we can rise again. This is what this is. This is what this is. Just go with it. Just go with it. They're gonna fall, and they're gonna rise. Because I guarantee you, for everybody that's upset, saying, "Oh my God, the Fall of X, they're destroying my favorite comic line again," I guarantee you, the next line of X-Men comics is either going to be called The Return of X or The Rise of X or Resurgence of X. It'll be something along those lines because everything has been, what was it, Dawn?
Resurrection of X.
Right. It's going to be, take any random word that can be used to mean a comeback of some sort. I guarantee you they're going to do it. And it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm not worried. Honestly, the X-Men work best when they're behind the 8-ball.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, and don't get me wrong, I love the start of all of this with Dawn and Rain. I thought it was all great. But sometimes, to quote Norman Osborn in regards to mutants, sometimes it's good for the mutants to be put upon. It makes them interesting. We got one here from Go Country's Baby Fathers. This is actually something I was thinking about, and I wanted to get your opinion on this too, so it's awesome this got brought up. With the $5 super chat says, just got the gym. Am I late? You are very late. That's okay. That's okay. We still love you. Says, you think Sabretooth and his gang going to the Hellfire Gala, also any word on where Kid Apocalypse is, the other Genesis that people have clearly forgotten about?
Yeah.
So that's the question I kind of want to ask you, because when we last left off with Sabretooth, he now has a multiversal gang of Sabretooths. Do we think they're going to pull up? Do we think we're going to get an appearance? The Creeds?
I hope so. I really want them to just crash that party. That would just be absolutely phenomenal, because they've been away for a while. It's been long enough, how they like to do the slow burn and make a storyline and drop it, bring it back 6 months later.
Yeah.
I think it's been long enough since we had Sabretooth and the Exiles. The Sabretooth was the last line, right?
Sabretooth, was Sabretooth, then he had Sabretooth in the Exile, so yeah.
That's what it was, okay. And so we saw him headed to Krakoa, so that's going to be quite interesting. What happened to him? Did he get intercepted by Orcus, or was that picking up right during the Hellfire Gala? I guess that would be the question remaining, is what actually happened to them, because we saw Orcus able to capture them before. It's not inconceivable to think that they couldn't do it again, but I think we could see them. I think that would be a nice little surprise to have all those Sabretooths drop in and just wreck shop.
Oh God, I actually want that. You know what? I'm gonna be brutally honest here. You know what I really want? I just like seeing Sabretooth in the suit. I'm a kid of the 90s. I bought that first issue of Jim Lee, Chris Claremont's X-Men too many times. I have too many different versions of the trade paperback. And one of my favorite things was seeing Sabretooth in like the 3-piece suit with the big coat on and the cigar. That's the Sabretooth I like to see. And I would just love, especially knowing that Birdie's back. I mean, Grant Birdie's not going to be hanging out with him, obviously. That relationship, I think, has run its course. But it would be cool to see all of the multiversal Sabretooths, just like Sabretooth's just getting all this love. You know what? I don't care what they keep giving me 5-issue minis by Victor LaValle and Leonard Kirk over and over again, and I'm in.
Now that I think about it, he spent a lot of time in a hell of his own creation, and I think he might have learned what he actually wants to go after. Now he wanted to crash a party and ruin a day, but I think maybe like he has the capability to strong arm himself onto the council.
I think he could.
He definitely has the capability to strong arm himself onto the council, especially with how the council is sitting right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, 100%
opportunity for him to try to jump in.
Oh no, 100%. Man,
because that would be an interesting direction to go. Instead of having him just mess everything up, have him actually go the diplomatic route and play the dirty games, play the Game of Thrones.
Yeah. the look that would be on Wolverine's face. Man. Yeah, that Wolverine would just leave. Technically he's already left, but he would really leave. He would really leave now. Now, the other part of this was Kid Apocalypse. You think we'll see Kid Apocalypse again? Because honestly,
I don't know.
I feel like, okay, so here's the thing. And this is where I think this is what's going to muddy the waters. Is I feel like it's going to be difficult for people to compartment, and maybe not for us, but I feel like for like any person that's like a casual coming into this, it's going to be almost too confusing to have two characters running around named Genesis. So he would have to go by Kid Apocalypse if nothing else. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know, because I honestly have no idea where they'd even go with that. They did.
Yeah, I don't even remember. When was the last time we saw Kid Apocalypse?
I honestly, I have no recollection. Actually, you know what? Let's consult the Googles. I actually want to know this. I legitimately want to know, because I feel like it's been 5 ever. So let's see. I have his appearances pulled up. The last time we saw him was Age of X-Men Apocalypse and the Extracts #4. But if we're talking like, because I don't like to count that. That's actually like, that's alternate reality. I don't count that. So Uncanny X-Men #10. Volume 5 #10. There you go. And honestly, he didn't even have that big of a part. I think just about every mutant showed up in that issue to some degree or another.
I don't think they're going to focus on that. They have the other 4 children that they're really going to focus on. You know, they have the death, pestilence, famine. What's the last one? I can't remember.
War, death, pestilence. Yeah, there you go.
War.
Yeah.
War was the last one. Yeah.
War's like the one that, like, I feel, other than death, has done probably more than the other 2. Because I think pestilence and famine have largely just been kind of like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see them go all out and see what they're truly capable of. You know, I'm hoping, because the way that Genesis was talking is not necessarily that she wanted to war with Arakko, but she wanted to go put stuff into check. You know what I mean? Like, after learning about the loss, you know, because the Coven, you know, manipulated the situation to where Genesis would go in, but it wasn't seeming like she wanted to go in and just destroy everybody and cause all these mutant deaths. It seemed rather she wanted to go test them, because obviously they're getting a little bit soft and they need the testing.
Well,
because again, she's from a war clan. You know, they're war people. They've lived and breathed war. So for her, it's hard to get out of that gear that she's been stuck in for all of this time. Yeah,
no, 100%. It's so crazy to me though, the to think about, like, because when I read those lines, you know, in X-Men Red, where it was like, oh, you know, this could go one of 2 ways. Either Genesis shows up and says, oh, hey, Storm, you've done a great job with the place. Or
fighting.
It's like when it got to this, it said Genesis was not impressed. I was like, yeah, I kind of saw that coming.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense. it makes sense because
they've been highlighting Storm so much too, you know, that no doubt that she is going to be on the front lines of this, and it's going to be interesting. I think Storm's about to get humbled. I think that's what's about to happen. Is Storm is finally going to have somebody that's going to put her
on
down.
her level, like because initially I thought it was going to be Tarn, and then she pieced up Tarn, and I was like, oh damn.
Yeah, I thought Tarn was going to humble her too, and then Tarn just
then Vulcan.
Vulcan. That was a surprise too.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
like twice.
I can chalk that up to Vulcan, which is so freaking unhinged. He wasn't on his top game.
No.
You know what I mean?
Vulcan's a madman.
Storm is really learned how to calm herself and make those attacks account really well. But no, I think Genesis is about to humble her. I think she's really about to get put in her place, and it's going to get interesting to see what the ring decides to do. Maybe the Fisher King's going to have a huge role in the coming up X-Men Reds.
And we can't forget, he's got Abigail Brand. It's like there's all. I swear to God, that's what I'm scared to do it because I'm terrified of how big the board would be. But I need to. I might do it one day. I might get a little cork board and just start putting all the pictures and the strings and everything together. It's like, dude, this is just too much. It's too much to keep up with. But yeah, like Abigail Brand, we still don't know what's going on with her now. Now that the Fisher King has, I guess, taken her under. I don't want to say it's wings. It makes it sound like it's a good thing, but we don't really know what he's going to do with her. We don't really know what the night seats are doing really at all. And I think we'll find that out here very shortly when Genesis gets back. Or rather when she gets face to face with Storm. I think we'll see that there. But I definitely a lot of the characters I feel like that have done really well in the House of X era. A lot of them have been kind of catching that pie to the face moment, that slip up, because we saw we've seen it with various characters. Everyone has been humbled to some degree or another, whether they want to admit it or not, and whether readers want to admit it or not. Everyone has caught a moment where they were made to realize they are not it. And Iceman hasn't gotten his yet. Like I said earlier, it's coming. Iceman has been smelling himself a lot.
Yeah, I think and he's been showing off a lot, using his powers in different ways. Thinking he's real cocky. Yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot of our X-Men, our mutants, get humbled really quickly in the coming issues. Like you said, it's on the 26th. I'm excited for the Hellfire Gala. I actually have a concert the night before, like 5 hours away, so I gotta all but back home, try to get a little bit of sleep so I can get that covered.
Hey,
not only
is
that coming, I'm going to see Taking Back Sunday and
all right,
Motion City soundtrack. It's what is it? The sad something festival. I don't know. It's an emo bands, all that stuff.
Hey, I respect it. I
gotta hightail it back because that's coming out, and then Ultimate Invasion issue number 2 is coming out, which is
my God,
always fun. It's always fun to have the maker involved in things.
Honestly, and I've said this before. I'll say it again. The maker's the only reason I'm reading that book.
That's the only reason I picked it up. Only reason.
Because I'll tell anyone who cares to listen. I hated Ultimate Marvel. I absolutely
wasn't a huge fan.
I hate it. It's not only just was it not good to me. It's aged terribly. It is aged like milk. The longer we go, I'm just like, ooh, man, dude, it's still bad. It's still bad. It's not getting any better. The only good things that came out of the Ultimate Marvel Comics lineup was Miles Morales and the Maker. That's it. I'll fight. I will fight and die on that hill any day of the week. but yeah, no, Ultimate Invasion number. Oh, jeez, man, no. Yeah. Well, I know where my money's going. That said, I will definitely say, because I think we got another one here from Go Contrarians Based Father. Says my theory is that by the end of Fall of X is that Krakoa will still be there, but the resurrection protocols will be gone. Honestly, I keep that's the with no evidence to really like no hard evidence of my own to really like throw out there to support that. I keep thinking that's going to end up happening at some point. It almost has to happen at some point. The resurrection is going to, I don't, or maybe not even something that just goes away completely, but something that just isn't used as much. Something's going to happen to where it just can't happen as often to not necessarily just make the deaths more meaningful, but just to raise the stakes. Yeah,
that's what it comes down to, because I think that's a lot of the fans' issues have been is, and you know, myself as well, is the stakes just aren't really there. Like, you know, they can send in Wolverine 1,001 times, like we've seen them do.
Yeah,
and now they have a stockpile of Wolverine skeletons.
That backfired.
It definitely backfired, and so it gets silly. You know what I mean? It gets silly to the point where it's just like, okay. Like, death really doesn't mean anything, and I think we need to get back to a point where, you know, to make any new event coming forward significant and impactful, there has to be some kind of takeaway from the resurrection process. There has to be. Like, or because if you go in there and massacre all the mutants, it's like, okay, well, we still have resurrection, so we can just bring everybody back and it's all good.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of the situation. I think that's what the Hellfire Gala 2023 is going to be all about. It's going to be about taking resurrection off the board. Yeah.
That, like I said, that's the only place my head can go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. My argument both for and against resurrection protocols has always been this. On the one hand, experiencing death is a terrible thing. I would imagine. Have never experienced it myself personally, but I would imagine it sucks. So that experience is still, in a roundabout way, kind of still there. Depending on when you were backed up or whatever. So you have to live with that. Like, we've seen some characters deal with it in some interesting ways. Some that I don't feel were highlighted as well as I would have hoped. Like characters like Domino and Sage. Those characters weren't highlighted quite as well as maybe I would have liked in regards to that. But also at the same time, it has gotten to a point where, people started just like, when people started just dying willy-nilly and just cuz, I was like, okay, let's bring it in. Rein it back in. Y'all are getting a little too wild with this. Here's the other thing I will say too, and I guess let's start getting into like some final thoughts on this. There is something that we really haven't talked about very much in regards to the Hellfire Gala, and I don't know if this is going to play any role in this. There are some things that have also been brought up recently, multiple times over the course of the X line, that we just haven't really had a lot of dealings with outside of, I think 10 Deaths of Wolverine did it the most, and that is the Phalanx. The Phalanx is still out there somewhere. Now, I'm not saying they're showing up at the Hellfire Gala, because that would be stupid. But I definitely think going forward, while they're dealing with the Fall of X, if there was any perfect time for the Phalanx to do anything, that would be about the time. The other issue, too, is that we know Orcus has access to the techno-organic virus, which is kind of in a roundabout way tied to that. And we know at some point Moira does become one with the Phalanx. So the question now becomes, when does that happen?
Yeah, because what we saw that every outcome ends with the Phalanx. Or at least almost every outcome. And so it is interesting, because after everything that they have to deal with front and center, the Phalanx, like you said, are still out there. They're still waiting for their opportunity. And what better time to come and grab them when, they're already on the ground? Kick them while they're down. Take the opportunity. The Phalanx definitely see that as an opportunity. And didn't we see some Phalanx, what was it, in Legion of X with Nimrod?
Yes.
Nimrod was essentially controlling the Phalanx.
The spores of it and whatnot,
yeah.
and taking it through the astral plane.
Yeah, trying to go in from that direction. So it'll be interesting to see how we have it utilized. I think it's possible that Orcus may use it in some way. Like you said, I hope it's not the Hellfire Gala. I think that would be dumb.
Yeah.
But I think that might be the coup de grace, if you will. I think it'll be, or at least Orcus will believe that it's the finishing move. That using Phalanx will be the ultimate win over it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, Moira's clearly lent herself more towards cybernetics. Like, to the point she's not even really human.
Yeah, she might as well be an AI android at this point.
Yeah. Like, she started with the hand and just said, it reminds me of the way parents used to always look at their children when you'd come home with like a new piercing or a tattoo. And it's like, oh, you got one. Now you just come back here and be covered in them. And that's basically what Moira, she was like, I went to the cybernetic shop and just went buck wild. Oh man, I got the sleeve, and now I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna get like a neck piece, and I'm gonna get like I'm gonna get some stuff on the ears, get some hoops and stuff through the ears and stuff. That's kind of what she did, because I think by the time we got to the Hellfire Gala last year, I think I distinctly remember in one of, I think it was actually in one of the Amazing Spider-Man issues that was kind of tied into the Hellfire Gala, where she literally turned into a full-on robot. Yeah. I was like, okay, full-on robot Moira. Okay. So yeah, I wonder if we're gonna see any of that, like anywhere in there. But regardless of all that, I think Fall of X is gonna be great. There are definitely titles I'm more interested in than others. Even though I don't think Uncanny Spider-Man is gonna be like the biggest, most well-connected thing, I think it'll be fun. Yeah. I'm more interested in Dark X-Men just because of the people involved.
Yes.
But I feel like Immortal X-Men and X-Men Red are probably still going to be the books to beat, because those have been some of the most consistently well-written ones.
Yeah. Those have not missed. Even the ones that were kind of slow were great.
Yeah.
Like, those have just been going off on all cylinders every single issue.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And maybe I don't know, the Children of the Vault. That's definitely something I have that I really want to see like how that's going to play.
Yeah, I got to see how that plays out. Because that's just been such a looming thing. They've been in stasis all of this time because of Forge, and they're, playing out simulations, but who's going to break that simulation if it's going to be broken, and what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Because we've already seen it play out, like you said earlier. We've seen them win. Yeah. We have seen them decimate any force that would stand against them. And what are you going to do with that? Like that, because that's literally a nuclear bomb or planet buster just blowing up everything by pressing that button. How are we going to utilize that without destroying literally everything?
And Serafina said something that was very telling when last we saw her, when Forge saw her inside the vault. She said, I just want to see what happens.
Yes.
It's
I forgot that. Yeah, she's in there. We still got Homeboy that's in there.
Yep.
It's like Darwin's in there. Like, what has he been doing all this time? Because especially with how time moves, like, what have you been up to, man?
He's got to be the most disconnected person.
Yeah,
like at this, because even when we see him briefly in those issues, he just that dude's a god now at this point, pretty much. He's just like, yeah, I'm just here chilling, I'm good. He can't die. He literally cannot die. So like, what are you gonna do with him at that point? Like, do we really want to reset that? I don't know. But yeah, there's just so much, and I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all right now, if you are having a difficult time keeping up with any of this, keep it locked. Both of our channels. And like I said, I got information for Brian's channel, comic breakdown, down in the description below. There's also the tag. You can just click on any of that stuff. Go over there and check him out. He is awesome. Dude is literally on his game with this stuff, and like just yeah. You won't regret it. You will not regret it. Guy knows his stuff. As if it wasn't already apparent by this point.
Yeah.
Do you have anything coming up that you wanted to put out there?
Just the usual, putting out comic after comic after comic after comic after comic. Like I said, we're gonna be covering Night Terrors to the best of my ability. I'm gonna read. Yeah, what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read them and I'm gonna choose which ones I like the best and just cover those ones. There are some ones that look very interesting though, like the Joker one. I really got to see what his worst nightmare is. Which on the cover, he's working at Wayne Enterprises. And it's absolutely gold.
Interesting.
So I haven't read it. I haven't read it yet, but I am going to be reading it tonight or tomorrow morning. But yeah, doing all that stuff. Be covering the Hellfire Gala. Going to be covering all the X-Men. I think I'm excited for what was it? The Days of Futures Past Doomsday.
Yeah.
That's going to be coming up, so I'm interested to see what's going to be inside of that.
Oh man, there's so much good stuff. Y'all already know where to find me, because clearly if you're here, this is pretty much the place to find me, so I'm not going to plug anything here. Y'all already know what to do. Anyone who is here, if you have not already done so, consider subscribing, because it really helps channel out. Also, yeah, make sure you like, share, all that good stuff. Those are all very important things to do. They are absolutely free and cost you nothing. That said, thank you everyone, all the new follows, channel members, all that good stuff. And yeah, we're gonna get out of here. And like I said, go check out Comic Breakdown. Make sure you come back here, check out everything we got going over here at Blerd Without Fear, and we will see you all next time.